On the title.
Live. Hi, everyone. How are you? We are live on LinkedIn, which is exciting. Thank you for joining our Friday Lives for Interracial Sisterhood. I am Future Cain, for those of you who don't know who I am. And Karen is here, but she is not physically here yet. But she will be coming in soon. So we're going to do a check-in. We want to do a check-in and hear from all of you. One, where are you coming in from? Thank you for joining us, but we'd love to know where you are listening from, because we've worked with people from all over the world in this interracial sisterhood coalition and time of sharing space. So where are you tuning in from, and how are you? I just asked this recently to several of my friends. And one of the things that I had asked was, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you with your wellness? 10 is, I am overflowing and I could pour into other people at this point. 1 is, I'm on empty and I don't even know where a gas station is to fill my bucket up with wellness, because it seems as if there's nowhere to even fill up. So, where are you tuning in from throughout the world? And then 2, how are you seriously? And we want to know, on that scale of 1 to 10, where is your wellness? 10 being I'm full, I could give to others. 5 being midway full, and 1 being, and 0 not. It's not even happening these days. Karen, hi. We started without you because we weren't sure what happened, but welcome.
Yeah. Just as we started, I accidentally disconnected my camera. So thank you for your patience as I got that restored. And thank you so much to everyone who's joining us. Lori Joe Vest, Daikisha Peoples, Damon John, Karen Hurd, Melissa Trash, and Karen Hurd again. And Karen Hurd, I think in response to your question, said she's at a 5.
Okay. We'll allow people to put in the chat where, let's be honest with ourselves. Where are you? And how often, I think that raises another question. How often are you even saying, where am I at? There's a lot of people literally just skating through life, not even checking in with themselves to say, this is where I'm at right now, or this is where I want to be, or this is really not good. I need to put a hand out there for somebody to help me, because I am really not in a good place and I don't know how to navigate through it by myself.
Yes, exactly. My one of my friends suggested that I have a visual cue, like a reminder that to remind me that it is okay to ask for help. I don't know about folks on this live, but for me, I am someone who continuously extends myself to help and support others, and that many people turn to for help. Yet somehow, when it's time for me to ask for things, I can be like very reluctant to do so. So I have a little painting that I made, and that is what I look at when I need a reminder. Okay, it is okay for me to ask for help.
Nice. Okay, so we have people, numerous states that are coming in by water. So we have Clearwater in the building. Hi, Melissa. Karen is coming in from Georgia. We have Lori coming in from Detroit. Authentically well, she said. It's at an 8, her wellness. Karen's at a 5. Massachusetts, Brenda, okay, DM me if you need help and support. She's at a 2. But here's what I love. I love every single person who has responded to us in this question, because this is the beginning of social emotional leadership, self-awareness. At least you're aware and you could acknowledge where you're at. That is a first step in taking action to be better, to feel better, to do better. Hello, Central Florida. We have Elle here. We have Dana. Hey, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, right by the river. See, we're getting more water people. And we have people saying there's a 3, bonjour, and a 5. So I need everybody to be aware, because sometimes the other thing with these numbers is you're like, my number is a 2 right now in the back of your mind. And then you feel nobody else is feeling that way. And if you look, right? If you clearly look in the comments of some of the people who've chosen to share authentically where they're at, I don't see anybody who's a 10 right now. I see one beautiful being that was at an 8, and most of the people who put in here are below 8. So this is something for you to feel like and see, I'm not alone. Okay, 5. We have another 5. Thank you. Okay. So what do you want to share what number you're at, Karen?
Yes, I think I would rate myself around I'm fluctuating between a 4 and a 6. But I've been very affected by everything that's happening in Gaza and just all the conflict in our world right now. It just really tears at me, and it's been difficult to sleep. It's been difficult to, I just don't feel well. I feel very like on edge.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your honesty on that one. And I think sometimes people want to say, but it's not here, right? That's not us. And the reality is we are we, regardless of whether people could understand and see that. And there is an impact on all of our beings with what is taking place in the world today, especially when it's centering on harm to others and humanity. So as much as we would like to say, no, that's not me, I don't have to worry about it. I could just look over here. Everything's fine right here. The reality is that it's not fine in our bodies. Our physical beings are not fine when others are actually experiencing pain and suffering, is what I
Yes.
would say.
And I would add, thank you so much, Dana, for acknowledging that this is a hard time to be a woman in this world, and an even harder time to be a mother, right? Because both Future and I are deeply engaged in motherhood and driving our kids to all these activities and just trying to be the role model and support that our kids need in this very confusing time for them too. And how do we authentically show up for them, allow them to experience the joy of childhood in the midst of all of this that is going on in our world, and still taking care of ourselves so we can show up healthy for them.
I think what I think as a mom is, and I say this all the time, Karen, you know this about me. I function in a world of, I wish I should take either or out of my vocabulary in a way, because I function so often in the both ends. And as happy as I am for my children to be doing well, and as me as a mother, I sit in so much pain and sorrow, literally, like even comprehending the fact that a mother has to write like numbers or a name on their child's arm, or lay next to them right now, knowing I don't know if I will be able to see you in the morning. So I hold both, like a space of pain and happiness, um, just to see what we're actually witnessing in this time in history. And it is sad. And at the same time, we could sit here and sit in our sadness, or we could sit here and say, we're going to do something. And we don't have to continue to have this dissension and polarization and divide be what it is, because there are so many people that it's not like that and they don't want it.
Yes, people like you and me and everyone who's so kindly joined us here today, because we know that we cannot wait for our leaders to lead us in this direction.
No.
If we are going to come together, this is a grassroots decision on people like you and me deciding that we want to heal the divides in our society, and we will be the change that we want to see in the world and build the kind of community that we want to see in the world. We're going to co-create that. And that's why I'm so grateful to know you, Future, and to be walking on this path with you. And thank you for all you are doing to make this change.
Thanks for holding space for me, right? Because like I was on nearing empty yesterday, and that's the beauty of the interracial sisterhood, right? I can call Karen and be like, and go on my rant, which isn't a rant at all. It is verbally vomiting all that humans are living through on a daily basis, and just needing for energetically to stay in a state of peace and joy to verbally get it out of what it is, so it's not creating a disease with it. Okay, so should we go over these agreements real quick? Here's the thing. We know we want you to come as you are. We know that some of you might be tuning in from a home, a community, or a workspace that you can't come as you are in all your feelings and all your being. And we're hoping that this space can be a space for a moment in time on a Friday to put you in a place where you can come at peace, where you can put the armor down because you're not hyper vigilant of all that's going on for your own safety, where you can come just to be heard. We're asking for you to be present to all the beautiful people and the comments that they have, and be present to what you're experiencing as a person. While we will ask for your confidentiality, we also know it's social media. So you could DM us if you're looking for more confidentiality of something that you have to say. And I would say, because it is social media that lives forever, and on the internet, be mindful, but we will always protect your confidentiality if you say, I want to personally DM one of you. And then we're just hoping that each of you, we saw where people are at. Most of us are at a 6 and below right now in regards to our wellness. So we are halfway or less. So we're saying to you, what are you doing to be proactive and preventative with your own wellness? So I think we should just give some ideas, and then we want to hear from you. What are you all doing to be proactive in regards to your own wellness? Because as much as I could sit here and say, you know, we could defer our wellness to tomorrow, and the world will just magically wand itself into a piece of all humanity. I'm not a pessimist. I am probably one of the most optimistic people you will ever meet in your life. And I can't sit here and lie and say, I don't know if I see this happening. That the whole world will just magically wand itself into, there is no harm, there is no hurt, there is no pain, there is no suffering, there is no violence, it is all peace. I don't know. So because I don't know, we then need to be mindful of being proactive for our own wellness on a daily basis. So what are you all doing for your own wellness? Do you want to put it in the chat? Why? Because we can help each other. You might have an idea that you're currently doing to take care of yourself, that another person might come on here and be like, oh, that's a good idea. Or it might be a reminder for somebody. So I'll go first, and then I'm going to ask you, Karen, to go. What am I doing for my wellness? Yes, I know you love Zumba. I have to get out to get fresh air. If I sit, it is hard for me to remember the time when we were fearful of going outside because of COVID, and remember, stay in the houses. And even during that time, I was like, I have to get outside to go be one with nature and just walk, or movement of my body. So for me, I would say it's movement, and it is being one with nature. Do you see any other ads, Karen? Or do you want to add something else?
Oh, I agree 100% with nature. Like, my greatest joy is going outside and looking at the beautiful trees and flowers and all the different, I just feel so lucky to live in San Francisco. It's such a visually stunning place, so many different views, and yeah, that gives me great joy. And of course, getting outside of San Francisco and going out and hiking in the Bay Area, such
Yeah.
a blessing.
Yes. Okay. So let's read these. I work and listen to nature and appreciate the beauty. We hear you and we love the same thing. And then this keeps looping for me. Anyone else? I keep hearing the same thing over and over.
Hmm.
Okay, I'm assuming she's talking about us, right? Because we're not saying the same thing over and over. But I feel like, Fran, I'm apologizing, and hopefully you could play this back. I don't know. I don't feel. Can we type to her? Do you want me to type to her, or can you type to her, Karen?
Fran, I would suggest disconnecting and rejoining because I'm not hearing anything. We're not seeing from anybody else that they are looping. So perhaps disconnect and rejoin. Maybe rejoin on LinkedIn. I'm not sure which platform you're on, but yes. It seems like the people who are joining us from LinkedIn are okay. So I'm hearing
Can we type that to her though, Karen? You go in the chat because she might not be able to hear us even say it.
okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Chat. Okay.
I would reply to Fran specifically in the chat, because if she's saying it's looping, I just exited and enter. I think I am good now. Okay, never mind.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
So Marcello says hello to everyone. Letitia says, absolutely. I must be outside to absorb vitamin D and listen to the sounds of nature. I even have an old pair of sneakers in the office.
Yes.
No excuses.
No
Thank
excuses.
you.
Right. No excuses. Okay, this is awesome.
I'm focusing on basics because I often overlook the basics like being hydrated, drinking water, good nutrition. I'm active in my mental health and have regular maintenance with my therapist. Not ashamed to be in therapy, normalize therapy. Thank you, Melissa.
Yes.
Thank you. Therapy is good. I have also been making art with the aim of bringing healing and happiness to other women. It makes me feel better to try and help others. Well, thank you so much for sharing. You know, the theme of today is how would interracial sisterhood benefit everyone? And I really do believe that interracial sisterhood is one of the greatest forms of not only self-care, but of community care that would benefit everybody. But unfortunately, interracial sisterhood remains kind of a distant dream at this point. But that is something, that is a dream that Future and I share, and we are working toward making it a reality. But we wanted to share with you this diagram that was developed by CocoNet, an organization in Quebec. And it depicts the problem woman of color in the workplace. So every time I post this diagram, I get so many comments on it because it really names something that so many people have experienced and continues to happen. This terrible cycle of a woman of color enters an organization, and at first, the white leadership is super excited. It's the honeymoon phase, right? They're so grateful that finally the organization is becoming more diverse. But it turns out she was a tokenized hire. And as she starts to point out, hey, this needs to change. We need to do this differently. You just hurt me when you said that. Instead of listening to her and making those changes, the white leadership turns against her and starts to point to her being the problem. And so she is blamed, she is gaslit. And until finally she decides she's had enough and exits of her own volition, or she is terminated from the position. And you don't have to put your name in the chat, but if you want to, but just tell us how many of us have witnessed, lived through what this diagram depicts. You can put it in the chat or share an emoji.
Okay, Karen, something happened to Karen. I will say, yes, I have been targeted and attacked for raising what I would say is opportunities for growth, opportunities for evolution of self, opportunities for transformation of systems. And by raising it, it has taken a grave toll in the form of retaliation, in the form of the impact of my wellness, in the form of the impact of my reputation, in the form of loss of relationships. So, what I am seeing from people is that we have some people that are currently living through it right now. It is a thumbs up from other people, and people are basically saying, yes, this is, I know this chart, unfortunately, all too well. So we have seen this all too well, both at the hands of white leadership directly and hands of South Asian. I hear you. I want to start raising this concern more often. I too can sit here and say I have experienced both. And I will sit here and say it, Karen, you get a pass in some regards because as a woman, it does make me sad when it happens, just general woman to woman, but makes me even more sad, disappointed, and standing in curiosity is that when it is a woman who is like me from the global majority, a person who knows very well from constant lived experiences how it feels to have this treatment to you and then does it to another person. So, yes, um, I hear everybody in the chat, and I hope um, you're seeking healing from it because it is a toll on one's being to have to survive and live through this, whether you have been the abused or whether you're sitting and watching the abuse.
Mm. And I would say I have also experienced this from white women in the workplace who perceive me somehow as a threat to their proximity to the white men in power and did all they could to squish me. And the psychological toll of this, I had to go to therapy for several years to recover from something that was done to me in the workplace at the hands of a white woman.
Yeah. So now that we know this is happening to some people, this has happened to people we know. This is happening at the current time to people. Do I think tomorrow it is still going to happen to people? Yes, I do. Do I think it's going to be at the hands of everybody? Yes, I do. So this is why we ask you today to take a moment and think about who are your friends? Who are the people that you share space with? Who are the people that you listen to? Who are the people that you sit and say, I will recommend this person, whether it's recommending them for a job, recommending a book, recommending a podcast, recommending to follow, recommending to have as a consult and bring in so that company can make money, recommending a place to go eat or maybe get your teeth done. Where are you shopping and where are you worshiping? And what about your last vacation? All of these small things that people are like, oh, that's just a small thing. Actually, it's really not. It's very large because interactions and sharing space matter. And the less you do that, the less opportunity there is for you to build an awareness and for you to build an understanding and for you to build relationships with people who are other than what some people have as a very homogeneous network of people that they associate with or frequent at.
Yes, I frequently in my workshops, I'll have I'll have participants create a little chart where they write down the names of the 5 people outside of their family that they are closest to. And then we create across the top different categories,
Mhm.
gender, race, age, faith, ability, etc. And then they put a check mark next to the name of everyone who shares that characteristic with them. So people can really see, wow, most of the people that I'm associating with, the people I would call first if I lost my job or had some good news to share, are very, very much like me in these characteristics.
Mhm. And oftentimes, what the research has shown us is for white women, it's 75 to 80% of white women's friends are also white. 75 to 80% of white women don't have a person who is other than white as their friend. I
Yeah,
too. We too. We
we
wish,
too.
right?
I am all about the intergenerational piece. Like, I would not, what inspired me to go in my direction was my mentoring of young people of color. And I'm so grateful to have this incredible group of mentees. And who keeps me in are my mentors, these incredible Black women, Latina women, Native women who have given me so much inspiration, Asian American women. I'm so, so blessed to have both diverse mentees and diverse mentors. And I'm all about whenever anyone starts dissing millennials or Gen Z, I'm like, each generation has its own strengths. Like, there's
Mhm.
nothing, it's neutral. There's nothing good or bad about it. Those are just their characteristics. And there's plenty of characteristics about my generation too, but yes, we can learn from everybody.
Mhm. I think we could learn from everybody. And, somebody's putting in the chat, I hate to say it, but it's how this country is set up. And then she followed up with saying, I put myself in spaces where I meet amazing women of color on purpose. And Karen and I talk about this often. Excuse me. In regards to it is set up. Okay. And we could sit here and say, I'm going to continue in this cycle and spin ourselves down the drain that will have us literally never encountering each other, because if you do not know this, we are as much segregated as we could possibly get. Our places that we live are segregated, our places that we worship are segregated, our school systems are segregated, and if you don't believe me, go look up the data where you live.
Mhm.
So if you literally live in a place that is segregated, shop in a place that's segregated, worship in a place that's segregated, how do you think you are just going to the unicorn's not going to magically appear? It's right. It doesn't do that.
Yes.
So
And
what
I will say, to Lori's point, it takes initiative.
Mhm,
Like, I am someone who is very blessed to have a very diverse friend network, but
mhm,
I had to initiate those relationships uh, by intentionally breaking out of my patterns and the places that I usually to go to other places. So I'm glad to see Lori with that initiative.
and again, I know some people will stand in, that's a lot of work, right?
Mhm.
Like, what? You want me to work and drive to this area or go to that event? Yeah. If you are seeking to expand, there's so many positives to having interracial relations and conversations, and it takes effort if you are looking for that. Um, Intentional interrupting the patterns. Very good, Fran. You have to be intentional about interrupting the patterns. And it's how are we doing that? Why? Because it takes time and attention. But if you don't take the time and attention, it is going to be generational, literally. If
Yes.
you have a child or a grandchild and all that they see from you is this homogeneous group, what do
Mhm.
you think they're going to do? And more importantly, what do you think you're modeling for them? That
Yes.
my life is okay without anybody else besides what we look like, even though our child population in schools right now is more global majority than white. So guess what? The world and way of work and life is interacting with people of other races, other cultures, other ethnicities. So guess what? If you have children and grandchildren, you're doing a disservice to them by not having, because then guess what? They're not prepared. So you're going to then thrust them into the deep end during a cold winter day and say, figure it out yourself. But I never put in any skills. I never provided you any of the resources that you could have early on to be successful at doing that, to not be uncomfortable, to not be at ease, to be in joy, to feel happy, to feel like you can make everybody feel as if they belong because they do belong. What are you thinking about this
I'm
segment?
thinking about, in addition, we know that white supremacy is deliberately targeting white kids. There's Prager University. There's all these, they're targeting them on Snapchat, on TikTok, on Instagram, all the places where young people on video games,
Mhm.
they are going in there and trying to, especially with our white boys, trying to get them to have feelings of racial animosity. So as white parents, we have to be very, very um, conscious of our children's social media. And even my own child, here I am, I'm an outspoken advocate in this space. This week my child sent a group chat text message using a racial slur. Now, granted, it was for his own racial group, but you know, it's not funny. It's not, but this is like, boys think this kind of thing is really funny and edgy humor, and we have to make sure that they understand that this is unacceptable.
Mm,
I,
okay.
I I'm also thinking about this one, future, because last night you said something to me, a data point about how white Americans who exclusively associate with other white Americans feel much more threatened
Yeah.
by the demographic changes in our country than white Americans who have a more diverse friend group.
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, I think so many different things. I think of riding a bike.
Hmm.
Some people still can't ride a bike, and I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying, think of something new. If you don't know how to ride a bike, I'm not mad. Think of a something you have done that you taught yourself to do. That's the whole point of this. So I'm using riding a bike. Riding a bike at first was like, "Oh my gosh, am I gonna be able to get this? Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Oh my gosh, what happens if people are looking at me? What happens if I fall?" Those are all the feelings and things that you're thinking in your mind. I get it. And this is the exact same thing that could be applied to when people are thinking about going into these interracial conversations, going into interracial spaces, going into taking leap of being in an interracial relationship or friendship of some sort. Yes, you're going to have those thoughts. And what happens if we looked at it of, oh my gosh, how much better can my life be? How much more comfortable can I feel? How much more joy and wellness would I have? How much more can I model for my child, my grandchildren, my community, if I could help educate them when they're saying things that are ignorant but unconscious and that they're unaware of? So how much more can we actually do if we say we're going to stand here because I see you. We're going to stand here because I see your humanity. We're going to stand here because you know what? I could talk to you probably for 5 hours if you're a person, a woman or gender expansive, talking about all the crap that we've experienced together because there's a ton of similarities instead of constantly focusing on, but you're so different. Really? Like, are we really so different though? But you don't even take a moment of time to sit and think about it and talk about it and hear somebody. Think about how much you could expand your mind. The facts are they've actually done research on this. This is what Karen and I were talking about yesterday. The people who have more eclectic group of friends in regards to race, in regards to ethnicities, in regards to culture, are more expansive in their thoughts. Why? Because they have a wider view of the world in itself. When you have a wider view of the world in itself, your application and ability to be able to problem solve, to be able to critically think, to be able to sit and retain. Think about all those companies where there's leaders or you're working with a diverse group of people to retain the diversity in regards to race, cultures, and ethnicities is heightened. Those are facts. So you could sit here in the bubble and be like, but I'm fearful. Okay, then you should also be fearful of your job because you are going to be sitting on the sidelines because there's so many other talents and gifts that people who are saying, I'm going to sign up for, yes, I need to be in interracial conversations to expand my cognition and my ability to see the social impact that my actions, my words are actually having. There's so many benefits. What are your thoughts, Karen?
I would say yes. And it's also important that in interracial conversations and relationships, we don't only focus on our commonalities, but we actually see our differences, as Audre Lorde said. That when we come together, we can use our differences as a tremendous source of creativity and power. If we can be in relationship with each other, and when you share your experience with me as a Black woman, instead of saying, oh, well, that couldn't possibly be true. What? You are making that shit up. Like, blah, 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 gaslighting. I'm like, oh my gosh. I I'm so sorry you
Mhm.
experienced that. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can. And how can we leverage that difference? How can we use that as fuel for our collective struggle?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes to all of it.
So thank you, Lori.
Right? So we're just saying is two women, what would it be like? I feel like it would be like taking me to an island, right? That I have never been there before. I've never been there, and you don't even know how great it could be because we see few of it.
Yes. So we want to ask you, think about how your life would be different if you had stronger relationships with women across race, ethnicity, and culture. What are your feelings as we point this out? Like what would feel different? And I was saying to Future, it's so funny when you see these photos, you know that they are stock photos because there are so few images, like when you see the college brochure and it has the cover and it's this very diverse group of students all hanging out together, that wasn't just a casual photograph that someone took at the campus, right? That was a photograph that they hired people to come and be there at a certain time for the professional photographer, because these relationships are so few. These authentic, really diverse friend groups are so rare. So talk about how your life would be different if you had these.
So what do you think? What's one?
Well,
What's one you've experienced?
one that I have experienced is just so much more possibility. I would say that about 75% of the people who hire me are Black women. I would say that the people who I can really turn to when I need great advice, when I'm struggling with something, are global majority women. And the people who I learn the most from are global majority women. Like in my career, I was really lucky to almost all of my bosses have been global majority women. And I learned so much from them about how to lead.
Okay. Now, here's the thing that I'll put my disclaimer out for you, Karen. We don't want no Karens here saying Karen's being a Karen because Karen said there's nothing positive about being friends with white women. Okay. Karen's
That
not,
is,
she's not saying that.
I am not saying that. I have wonderful, wonderful white women friends too. I'm the daughter of white women. I love my white women friends, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with my white women friends. I'm just saying that it's expansive. It introduces me, as we were saying, it widens my perspective, it widens my possibilities to be friends with people with who across difference.
Okay. And I think that's one of the main things. We could sit in our bubble, right? It's kind of like what's going on with Israel and Gaza. We could sit here in our bubble and be like, oh, not my concern, right? And turn the cheek. The reality is this is impacting all of us. So as much as we would like to say, oh, my awareness isn't expanding, or I don't have to expand my awareness, I would beg to say, can we have a conversation so I could seek understanding of why you feel that way? Okay. So much more richer and more interesting. Right? Yes. Okay, so how much are we free? How much freedom do we have as women, or have our freedoms been taken away? And I'm not sitting here saying we're living in a box and it's crumbling. I'm not saying that. I am saying we need to be mindful of the laws and other things that are going into place because stuff is happening at the political, state, and federal level that is concerning to me. And we are all in this together. Regardless, no law says this is just for the Black people. Not anymore. This is just for the white people. When we're categorized, the laws that are impacting women, gender expansive people are impacting. It doesn't matter what race you are.
Yes.
Doesn't matter.
I was just reading that the same folks who succeeded in getting abortion banned and getting Roe v. Wade overturned, now their new agenda is to eliminate birth control. Think about that for a second. And we were also at a conference, and I was talking with a trans woman, and she was saying how grateful she was that the conference was in California and she felt safe traveling there. But next conference it's going to be in a different state, and how she won't go because she can't ensure she'll be safe in that state.
Yeah. Now that's concerning to me, right? As a person, I don't want anybody to feel, because I know how it feels, to not feel safe. So then I'm not sitting here also then saying, then we should boycott all the states. I don't agree with that, because that's exactly why we've chosen to do what we're doing, because I also will double down on the states that possibly are creating spaces where people feel most unsafe. Then we can't put them on an island either and be like, figure it out yourself.
100%. 100%. We have to transform those states and resource the global majority and LGBTQIA people who live in those states to be able to lead that struggle and not abandon them.
So if we think about this, then that is why we have done what we're doing. So what actions are you taking? We're taking numerous actions, and we're going to share one action that we're taking with you in a moment. But for now, what actions are you all taking to make this not a deferred dream that will still be a deferred dream until death, but an actual reality for you before you take your final breath? I don't know if we have anybody in the chat.
Let's see. So the question is, what actions will you take to take care of yourself and other women and gender expansive people? And I know for me, one of the things that I've been doing is reaching out to my Muslim friends, my Arab friends, reaching out to my Jewish friends, just checking in with them and seeing how they are doing and holding space to meet up in person if possible or via Zoom, and to just check in with them and let them know they are not alone. I'm thinking of them. I'm supporting them. I'm amplifying them. And I'm showing up for protests and calling my legislators and doing all of the things.
Okay.
So shall we keep rolling? Yes.
So one of the things that we're doing is this. We said there's not many spaces where different faces get to come together and share space. We've heard one too many women, especially white women, say, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. It's not even possible. I'm traveling 30, 50 minutes over an hour to be in a space that is not homogeneous in regards to race, culture, or ethnicity. So we said, okay, we see you, we hear you, and we will affirm you and then create those safe spaces for everyone. So Karen and I have decided to do an in-person. We've done a lot of virtual events and workshops and sharing space together over the last year and a half. And when women keep talking to us, they keep saying, well, we want something in person. So we said, okay, we'll do something in person. So this December, we have co-created Interracial Sisterhood Retreat. Now people say, well, why isn't it a workshop or a conference? It's not a workshop or a conference because there's enough workshops and conferences, to be quite honest. And as you just saw, if you did not, you probably want to go through the comments. Women and gender expansive people are exhausted. Let me repeat this again. Women and gender expansive people are exhausted. And we need a space where we can be intentional about pouring into our wellness. We need a space where we could share spaces where it is more intimate and not like overwhelming 300, 500 people of, I have the opportunity to network, but yet I never really network with anybody because it's so much. So we said we're going to double down and create this space in December. Karen, thoughts on our space that we are co-creating?
Yes. And one of the main things that we want this space to be is very relaxed, very restorative. Both Future and I are extremely, extremely busy people. And we want to have a space where we're going to be able to really focus, be present, and not feel rushed, not feel like, oh, there's so much more to do, but where we can really dedicate some time to expansiveness, to creativity, to expanding our imagination of what's possible. So we want you to know that this will not be one of those uh, uh, retreats, or we're calling it a retreat for a reason, because we're not going to be bombarding you with a whole bunch of stuff to do, but it's more space to breathe, to be, and to be in community across difference. And what our intent is to seed a ongoing national community of women and gender expansive people all across the United States who are committed to creating interracial sisterhood in their workplaces, in their communities, and we will be supporting folks to fulfill on those commitments and to stay in community with each other. And you will learn how to have intercultural dialogue, what is actually helpful, how to initiate and strengthen relationships across difference. These are exactly what you will be learning at the retreat. And we will also have time for fun, joy, celebration, and individual time, alone time, to reflect and repair. So we're so excited that people are applying, and we have a wonderful, wonderful hotel that we're going to be staying at. Perhaps I should share the link to the hotel. I've put the application and the link to the conference website in the chat. Future, do you have thoughts?
hmm I think what is important for us to say is we've literally tailor-made and been very intentional with every intricate piece of this retreat. From us partnering with Quest Workspaces, shout out to Gideon. Love Gideon. What Quest Workspace is a woman-owned business. So obviously we very much center in women empowerment, women joy, women wellness, and we're appreciative that a woman was happy to partner with us for this particular event. The other thing that I am, and you are, happy about is the place. When we went to Miami, there's lots of places to stay in Miami, and we visited them. We literally, as Karen says, we were bridezillas when we hotelzillas when we went and met and walked through a whole bunch of hotels. And the reality is we have to be mindful of the spaces that we are choosing. I say that word very intentionally, that we are choosing to collaborate with, because not everybody is welcome in every space. Let me repeat this again. Not everybody is welcome in every space. And how do I know that? I know that because some of the hotels that we went in, I was very specific with telling Karen, I need you to look on the walls. It was all white people. So in good faith, we're not going to go to a hotel where it was literally all white people on the walls and we couldn't even see ourselves. That's not safety, and that's not pouring into one's wellness of mind. So when we were looking around, this hotel, one, is by water. I know a lot of people said that they like water. And two, as soon as the door was opened for us at that hotel to welcome us in, it was nothing but a breath of fresh air of wellness. And there was people of the global majority all throughout, as the people who are actually the workers and the people who are the people visiting the hotel. So we said, okay, this is it. And we are so happy that this is what we are able to bring to you for this retreat, because it is luxurious. It is run by amazing leaders, and it is a place that truly cares not only about the planet, but about diversity, equity, inclusion, and the expansion of people getting to know the culture of Miami and Florida. So we are happy and overjoyed to be partnering with Kimpton Epic in Miami, Florida.
Yes, and I apologize, that past link does not look like it's working. It got broken. So let me try to get a cleaner link so you can see what we're talking about here. Yes, we are so excited, and we hope that you will apply and join us. So people are like, "What? What do you mean? What do you mean apply?" Like typically to a retreat, you just have a sign up link. But for Future and I to co-create the kind of space we want for people, we want to get to know who wants to be in this space to make sure that we are really building a safe container for everybody.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions for us? We will be coming on weekly. But if you have a question or curiosity, we are happy to answer any questions that you have, but we are more happy that numerous people have signed up, that people are going to share space for our collective wellness. And, what Karen said is obviously the movement begins here, and have all of our workshops included international people who have come in attendance. Yes, there hasn't been one workshop that we have done and shared space with over months that it hasn't been international. And we also know internationally traveling is very expensive. So we're going to start in the US and then we will be doing more. But if you are in the United States, then we would say we welcome you too, because obviously this isn't just about the United States, women and gender expansive people, it is worldwide.
So Future, I think as we wind down, we need to answer the question that we started this with.
Mm-hmm.
How would interracial sisterhood benefit everyone?
I immediately go to the spaces that I work. If we had interracial sisterhood, interracial siblinghood, interracial conversations, and not just interracial, interethnic, intercultural, one's social emotional intelligence would expand. Two, there would inevitably be more equitable spaces created. Three, wellness would be impacted in a positive way, not a way that would be draining. So those would be the three areas that I would say. How about you?
Yes, I would definitely say it would transform the workplace. It would improve mental health for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It would also improve our communities. We need interracial solidarity in our communities. And so many of the problems that our society faces, I'm talking here in San Francisco, we have a huge situation with homelessness. It's rooted in racism. If we could end racism, we would have, that's like the upstream problem that is causing so many of our visible problems. And we can't really solve the visible problems if we are not addressing racism, which is at the heart of the problem.
And I think that's why I love our time that we come together to co-facilitate this, because the reality is we could be like, what? It's that system. Okay. And here's the thing. The system starts within. So we are very intentional through this retreat and the workshops that we do to have people focus within first, because as much as I would like to point the finger all these other places, there are always opportunities for growth that I too can center in.
Correct. And thank you for continuously pointing at my opportunities for growth, because I can be like, ew, I am the, maximum good white woman, but I still cause harm and I still do things that that could be much better. And I thank you, Future, for pointing out when I do those things and giving me space and grace to grow and transform and staying in relationship with me.
Well, here's the thing. The beautiful part about this is people will actually get to hear the stories, because we're not going to come on and tell you all the stories here. We're going to share those for the intimate space that we hope that you will join in December. And you will get to hear the firsthand behind the scenes stories of different stories that have happened with us of right. I'm calling
Mm,
everybody to be better, and that includes my partner. Uh,
yes.
and what I love about Karen is Karen doesn't Karen out when something is brought to her. She truly stands in an appreciation of I did not know. So you too could do that is what we will say.
So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or DM us.
Mhm.
And we are grateful for the time that you have shared with us this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, and that you will join us in Miami in this beautiful, beautiful location for a beautiful experience that will transform our vision of what is possible, expand our imagination, build that community that you can rely on, and start to transform our society from the ground up.
Yes. So signing off, we hope you pour into your wellness as we saw and get that bucket of fours, threes, twos, fives up to more close to 8, 9, 10 of your wellness meter. I hope everybody has a beautiful weekend. Thank you for spending your time with us and sharing space.
Bye, future.
Bye.